Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are. Welcome to the community live stream. My name is Chuck Tomasi. I am ServiceNow guy sporting a new bow tie. Thank you to Andrew from Japan for the very generous gift. And I am looking forward to talking to you. This is January 15, 2019. We're already halfway through the month, and this is the first episode of the year. It has been a busy year, off to a busy start, and I have a lot of content for you. But before I get to that, let's go through the pre-roll. If you are not already subscribed, I recommend you go over to YouTube, and just came up on my phone. You will get the info broadcast to you. Turn on your notifications. You'll find out when you get there. And give me a shout out in the chat. Love to talk to you. Love to say hi like Mitkari and Abdul are doing. We have a number of people watching live. Thank you very much. And if you're watching this later, thank you very much for that as well. Look forward to keeping in touch with you. We also do this on Twitch over at the URL you see there. There are a couple of people that watch there. Thank you very much for that as well. And if you have something beyond just a hello, how are you, how's the weather in your area for the chat, please ask your questions in the community. Remember to search for an answer first. I'll get to those tips in just a minute, but just wanted to encourage you that I generally don't answer questions in the chat that are better posed in the community, because it's very difficult to search for those answers in the YouTube or Twitch chat weeks, months, years later down the road, whereas posting it in the community is a very, very easy way for people to find that information. So just doing one final scan around the various control panels, make sure everything is working. The audio seems to be working, the video seems to be working, and people are giving a thumbs up on that. Thank you very much for the confirmation. So go to community.servicenow.com. If you are new to the community, let me get that up there. Just a couple of tips that search first. There's probably an answer for what you're already asking. There may be. There's like 10 years of legacy knowledge out there. So search those questions. Of course, the older ones may be a little dated. The technology has changed. The solutions may have changed. We've learned some best practices. We've learned some bad practices. So if it's beyond about 5 years, check it out. Be concise with your questions. If you're asking things like, hey, can someone explain ServiceNow? That's a bit general and very difficult to market as what is the correct answer. So narrow down the scope of what you're asking. Please be concise, provide details, provide context of what you're trying to do rather than asking a technical question. Go ahead and ask the technical question. Can I do X, or how do you do Y? Also include the context of what is the business requirement driving that, because if we give you a technical solution, it may not be the best solution for what you're looking to do. Good morning, Jim. Good to see everybody checking in. It has been a while, so hoping everybody hangs out for a little while. And I have a lot of information that I have been sticking away in notes, and hopefully we can get to some of that today. So I'm not going to read this entire slide to you. You are perfectly capable of reading. If you have been around the community for a while, consider taking some of these content. If you've seen something repeated, a good question that you want to turn into a solution, a blog article, reach out and we can help you do that. It's a great way to build your brand, be recognized as a subject matter expert in that area. So encourage you to do that. We also have the developer community. Let me get the right screen up there. There's the developer portal over at developer.servicenow.com. Lots of great information. Free personal developer instance. If you haven't already done so, go ahead and sign up. You can get a free instance of ServiceNow that you can use as a sandbox, a trial, a learning experience, free learning plans, all the scripting APIs, developer meetup, blog articles, YouTube videos, lots of great stuff to get you enabled as a ServiceNow developer. So look for that information over at developer.servicenow.com. One of the other things you can also find over there is about Meetups. Let me get the title up there and go to the two keyboards. Always fun. Go to the Meetup screen where there are currently 50, planning on more. We just got a new intern to help us grow this even more. 50 chapters worldwide, almost 14,000. You see it's sort of hiding behind the label right there. Another 101 people, and we'll have 14,000 participants worldwide. If there isn't a chapter in your area, please reach out to us. We'll help you get one started. You run this one. There are a number of meetups coming up in the area. We've got one on the 18th right here in Phoenix, Arizona, where I'm located. There's one in Las Vegas coming up, one in Salt Lake City, Dallas, Fort Worth. Good to see you on the map. Raleigh-Durham, one of the early chapters that we've had, is up and running. Got another one coming up. Look at this. We've got people scheduled things out March 6th, March 7th. They're going to be talking about the new mobile studio that's coming out in Madrid. By that time, of course, Madrid will be available in early access. Should be later this month in January that we've got early access. Crossing my fingers. That's the approximate timeline. Madrid, of course, is coming out in Q1, and usually about 6 weeks before the general availability is early access. So do your math. It could be anytime between late January, late February that we see Madrid starting to show up on those personal developer instances. Another good reason to go over to developer.servicenow.com and get your instance. Good morning, Kobe. Checking in. Happy New Year, everybody. So look for a chapter in your area. There are lots of great meetups coming out. Working on the morning tea. It's been a while. Oh, it tastes good. Been a lot of PTO. A lot of time off actually, I didn't take a lot of time off for the holidays, but working very hard on getting you more videos, more content, more information. All right, after this, we go over to other events, which you can find over at servicenow.com/events.html. There's other conferences, which I will talk about the big one in just a second, but other events that you can find either by location, by date, by topic. I encourage you to go look at the events page over there at events.html, or just search for events. It's near the bottom somewhere on the servicenow.com page. You'll find that there. We also have, of course, the big conference, Knowledge, coming up May 5th through 9th in Las Vegas. Look, new picture. There's John Donahoe. And I'm over here on this side. So if you haven't been to Knowledge before, this is several days worth of jam-packed information, hands-on labs, sessions mostly led by customers, by you, to tell your story about what you've implemented, how you've implemented, what challenges you've encountered, and how you've met those, what value ServiceNow has brought to you, so that it's our best sales vehicle is our customers, and you are those people. So call for speakers is unfortunately closed at this point by mid-January 2019. But if you've consider as you're going through your implementations in 2019, that might be a speaking opportunity for next Knowledge. So go this year, find out what it's about, find out what the speakers are talking about. Go next year, and you can be a speaker there. So looking forward to that. So I talked about hands-on labs. Get your hands on all the latest Madrid stuff. There's going to be new things with Virtual Agent. There's going to be new mobile experiences. There's going to be new things with Flow Designer. Lots of great information. I am filling my head right now with lots of good Madrid information for the February Tech Now episode, which I will get to in just a moment. We need to get to January 29th, where we've got the Tech Now for mid-servers. I'll get that in just a second. But sign up, go over to knowledge.servicenow.com, learn more about Knowledge and what it's all about and what you can get out of it. Great networking opportunity. If you are going with a team, here's my tip. If you're going with a team of people from your organization, split up. Go to different sessions so you can maximize your coverage at the conference. Even when you sit at a meal, you go to lunch, you go to breakfast, don't sit together. Regroup at the end of the day or regroup at the end of the week and find out what each other has done. You will meet more people. You will get more experience. You will really cover more ground by splitting up. If you sit together in every session, you're all going to absorb basically the same information. So make a plan, split up. That's my one key if you want to get the most out of the conference in terms of networking opportunities. We also still have this Customer Success Center, new material showing up there all the time at servicenow.com/success. Wherever you are on your ServiceNow journey, go in and check it out, because you may be just implementing a CMDB for the first time and want to know the best practices there, or you may have been doing this for 10 years like I have and find out what the best practices are on upgrades. How can we leverage automated test framework to get you to that next release quicker and easier? Lots of great information on all aspects of the platform. And again, more information coming all the time. So I encourage you to look at that. I mentioned the Tech Now webinar. We've been doing this since 2013. We've got coming up episode 60. That's right. Craig Stepp is going to show us all about mid servers, get you introduced to that, and show you what a mid server can do, the basics of setting one up. They are very, very powerful devices for getting information in your organization into the ServiceNow ecosystem, whether it is users, customers, devices, from a SQL database, from a file transfer, from an SNMP query, whatever it is in your organization that you want to bring into ServiceNow. I encourage you to watch this. If you're interested in learning more about mid servers, go register. The link is there at the bottom, bit.ly/TN60REG for registration. Good morning, Carolyn. Good to see you. Feel like the crew is back on board. We also have, I got to get my keystrokes right here. Any script that I write today will be available in the GitHub repo that you see there. I will also be posting a link in the description at the bottom of the YouTube video. I believe that will be right there somewhere. And including that in the community as well. So it will take you right to the folder. Don't know what we're going to write today, if anything at all. This link will take you to the top folder for scripts you've written in the past. That way you can download them, test them, break them, make them your own. Do what you want with them, explore, and go, oh, that's what it says, rather than squinting at the screen on your mobile device and saying, I can't read that script, it's too fuzzy. I'll try to keep the font as large as possible, but also make this available for you online. Okay, that takes us through all of that. Let's get on with the game. It's not a game? I think it's a game. Feels like a game to me. Otherwise, why would there be points? Okay, let me refresh this. Got one thing in the inbox is indicated up here with my little red indicator. This is our community. Again, community.servicenow.com. If this is your first time watching the video, thank you very much for joining. I like to start out my morning by going to a fresh new list and going to the unreplied section, see what's new, see what's interesting, what has just come in, hot off the news wire. Querying the template table, IT service management. My specialty, if I'm skipping over these, it's not because I don't like you, it's because I may not be able to offer any information in there. I may go explore. This is all about learning. I learn as much as I share on this, probably learn twice as much as I share on the community. But if I'm not going into a specific topic, it's usually because that's not where my area of expertise is. I am around the platform, custom applications, and integration. So that's where you'll see me poking around. If your expertise is elsewhere, I encourage you to dig in, have some fun. So we've got IT service management, open that up. Good day, could someone spot what is wrong with this code? It won't pass the while condition, however the row count is 1. So they're going into systemplate, they're querying for a sysid, they're adding the query table, change request, and then they're doing a query. Does the get the row count 1, and it doesn't go in. Interesting. If we're getting the sysid, why do you need the table? You're already getting a single record. So I would rewrite this. Let me copy that down. Get the v on var. There we go. Over to the text editor, paste that in so I can clean that up a little bit. Should be a tab right there. This is Microsoft Visual Studio Code that I'm using. And I like the dark theme on this. There's a couple of things that I clear up on this first. So we are doing a glide record query. If you haven't done any scripting before, this is our basic API to get into the database and query records, get records. and they're trying to get one record. And we do this with the add query method, and the sysid is the unique identifier, sometimes called a GUID or a global unique identifier, that helps us identify a record in the system. Good morning, Omar from San Antonio. Let's see. Now, there's a shortcut to this. Rather than doing an add query on sysid, we could just do a gr.get on that same sysid. We've also got smart quotes going on. Ugh. Turn that off. I don't know if you can see it, but I can certainly see it. Normally the quotes on this editor would be straight up and straight down. You can see these are a little tilted, which means they probably edited it in a different editor. grget is a shorthand notation of doing this. And because we've already got that unique record, this query is really redundant. There's not multiple records, and then we say, oh, and get the one that's on the change request table. So this gets the record, really replacing all three of these in this situation. And we don't need the while, because we can say, if you get this, and it returns the thing, then let's do this, put it in that. There is a shorthand notation of doing the same thing. So I'm going to re-represent that this way. Put that in a little code block, one line down. Somebody who is not narrating and explaining is probably going a lot faster than me. But this can be shortened to the script below. You are already getting the record. Oop, try that again. The record, make that a little bigger so you can read it. The record by sysid, so the table is not needed. The sysid is unique and gets only one record. Oh, let's make sure the smart quotes aren't on there. Okay, these look good. Also noted you had smart quotes on in the sysid query. I have removed those. And you should be good now. Try it and let me know. Ding. First coin of the year. That was a bell. That's the coin. Let's get this right. I think you're only querying one row because you're using the sysid for systemple table as sysid's unique identifier on the row. Yes. It won't pass the while condition, however the row count is 1. It's saying I've got one row count, but it should get in here if the query is right, but it could be blowing up on the query. Again, smart quotes, we'll go with that. All right, what else? Need help creating a copy custom table to be able to copy an existing ticket to create a new one. Let's see what we've got here. How can I create a UI action which should copy the content of an existing ticket and create a new one in the same table? Example, copy service request UI action to create exactly the same service request. Look at docs, copy incident, or create child incident. All right, I'm going to give a code example here. Let's say this is the UI action script. Copy the current record to a new one would be, let's do a new record equals, here, let's just do new glide record. New GR equals new glide record on whatever table, your table here. I don't care what it is, it doesn't matter. And then you can do new GR dot new record. Some people will use initialize. I prefer new record because new record sets default values. Initialize does not. If you read the documentation, I really don't know what the point of initialize is because It just says it allocates space. I'm like, well, yeah, fine. I thought that's what instantiating a new glide record does. But anyway, I'm not going to argue that. I just know that new record sets default values. Set field values here from current. Example, new gr.short description equals current.short description. Now there is another way you can do this. Actually, I'm gonna give them a cooler way to do this. Array of fields to copy. This will make it a little more maintainable. Var field list equals, and then put in your fields here. Short description. Let's make it a little easier to read with some additional line breaks in here. Short description, description, you get the idea. Priority. Modify as needed. Update the table name. Just trying to make this as clear as possible. Okay, so once we've got a list of fields, then we can do this. For var I equals 0, I less than field list length. Oh, it's starting out to be a good morning, isn't it? And take new gr.set value, and we want to set the value of, let's do this, let's get the field name. I just like burning, this makes it a little easier to read. Field name equals field list sub I. We want to set field name to current.getValue field name. Ha 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 ha. Okay, take that apart. Let's break it down. Current.getValue field name is going to get the value of short description first. As it goes through this loop, it says get the value of short description, and whatever you get out of that, use that as the argument as to set the value of short description in new gr short description. So new gr short description will be set to the value of whatever current is. Then new gr.insert, create your new record. Create the record. Let's put a comment here. Copy the field values from current to new gr. Create the record, and then action.set redirect URL. You probably want to go to the record, which is going to be new gr. Ta-da! How do you like them apples? Okay, here's a generic way to do it. Modify the table and fields as needed. Code thingy. Pasty, pasty. Done. Coin. That was fun. There you go. Hopefully that was understood. I will save that off to the GitHub repo so you can follow along. Anybody see anything? James says, can't you just reinsert the current record? Maybe. I'm reluctant to do that because glide records are pointers. And if you reinsert current, are you going to get all the current values? You may not want all of the values. I don't want the number to be replicated. I definitely don't want the sysid to be replicated, which brings me to a topic that was in my notes about sysids, because somebody asked, can you set the sysid of a record? Once the record is created, the answer is no. You cannot set the sysid. Because it is what it is. It's a unique identifier. And if other records were referencing that, switching that would be chaos to the system. However, when you create a record, you can set the sysid. Didn't know this till I started playing around. Let's do a real quick test. I think I still have on my developer instance a dummy table that I called CLS Chuck with some records in it. And if I look closely, one of these records may in fact have, nope, don't know. All right, those are tasks. I think I want the items. Let me look. No, was it repairs? Yes, it was repairs. Okay. There it is. All right. If I create a new record via script, let me do this via script. I got to get the right table name here. Copy URL, paste. I just need the table name. All right, var, what did I call it? Repair, gr equals new glide record. Spell it right. And I say repgr.sysid equals, I already used foo. Let's use bar. You can actually do this. I don't recommend it. I do not recommend doing this. I don't know why I'm even trying it. But the answer is yes, you can set this when you create a new record. Let's actually do this. Repgr.new record. Follow good practice and initialize our record. Repgr, I don't even remember what the field was. Category? Okay. Are there other fields on this thing? Probably not. It's just a choice list. We can do whatever we want. Category equals bar. Okay, this will be our repgr.insert. And if I run this in scripts background, right there, let's get to the right scope, CLS, run that. It inserted a record, and if you look closely at the CLS repairs, there's my bar record. Copy sysid. Ta-da-da. That's the sysid. You can actually set that. Now, if I wanted to try and get that, var rep2gr equals new glide record. Let's just copy and paste this part. I don't know why I'm bothering to type it again. Put a 2 in there and try to get that. Rep2gr.get bar. We'll just verify that we've got this by saying sysid equals rep2gr.sysid and try to set it to something else. Rep2gr sysid equals new bar rep2gr.update, and we probably will not get anywhere with that. But I would love to be made a liar, because that's when you go, hey, that's strange. Oh, can't do that in global. Go to the CLS scope, run it again, and it says your current sysid is bar, no records updated. Notice at the top, it does not say anything about record updated because it did not update anything. The one that says bar still has a sysid of bar. So you can't change a sysid. That would be really, really bad. If I were to create another record with the same bar, try and do this, it should give me an error that says, no, somebody already has that one. Come on, scripts background. Wake up, wake up. Yeah, it says, no, you can't do this. Unique key violation detected for bar key primary. That says the primary key for this record is the sysid. You just tried to create another record. If I can't resolve sysids, then what good is it? So that's a database layer construct that says this is a unique thing. I tried to insert this. MySQL said, up yours, buddy. It's not happening today. So that's what that means. Now, if you were running this in a script and you ran into that, how would you fix that? You would obviously put a try catch around that. You could put all this goodness in a try catch. I'm going to take this part out just because that's not going to work anyway. Try catch E, and then you can always do just error. E dot message. And it should give me where's my script error message? It did not catch that. Interesting. Wow. I honestly thought it would. Okay. Well, that was interesting. I have to figure that one out. So there's your example for today. That was a question that was asked over the holidays or whenever I was out. So, anything else that's interesting in here before we move on? Wrote a couple of scripts. Didn't expect that today. Let me go to my notes. I got an email from Rajasekar. I hope I said that closely enough. And he says, big fan of you. I watch all your videos on YouTube. Thank you very much. That are related to ServiceNow. Best of all the Tech Shorts playlist. I like every video on the playlist. Every video, Could you please add more videos to the playlist to help me understand and learn tips and techniques in ServiceNow? That playlist has probably run its course. I don't know that I'll be putting more in there. Maybe there's new capabilities coming all the time. Virtual Agent may fit in there quite nicely. I need one more help. I'm finding it a little difficult to understand state and active fields. I've created a new application by extending the task table. Very nice. It's a good way to do it. I have modified the choices in the state field. Now I'm facing an issue with my business rules and workflows that are based on the state field. It would be a great help if you could please explain to me or post a video of how to override the existing business rules on task table that are related to the state and active fields. I found an exact topic on the community in the below URL, but I'm not sure I understand. Okay, the best idea when managing active fields is not to override the business rules, but override the field values that it pays attention to. So let me take you to the Wayback Machine. Wish I had a sound effect for that. Maybe. Okay, we'll try that. Okay, imagine it's 2008 or 2010, and you are using ServiceNow and making an application. I will go to, these tabs aren't in my usual order, and I go to the task table. In task, we obviously have a field called state. So if I configure the table on the task table, I get my usual 66 or 67 fields. I'll close that for just a little bit so we can see a little bit more. We've got our 67 fields, one of which is called, of course, state. State has a bunch of choices. And some of them, for whatever reason, I don't know the history on this. I'm going to find out one of these days. State on the choice field on task state is a numeric value. Now, when you create a choice field, it's generally a string value. If it's labeled approval, it has a value of approval, sometimes lowercase. For whatever reason, the choices on state have numeric values. It's an integer field. It started life as an integer. I haven't followed up on this. I think the logic there was so somebody could say, if the value is greater than this, we'll do some logic. If the value is less than that, if the value is between here and there, you could do something like that, but it generally doesn't happen that way. And because the choices are different on incident and problem and change, it's hard to make a task-based business rule that works generically across that. So what happened is, I wonder if I can group these. I don't think I can group on a related list. No. What happened is, where's the table on this one. I'm going to add table in here. The default task states, I just want to add table to this related list and search for task. There we are. Okay, these are the ones that you generally may be familiar with. And there are three that are special. 3, 4, and 7. Close complete, close incomplete, and close skipped. If it is one of those, there's a business rule that says if it's 3, 4, or 7, if it changes to 3, 4, or 7, set the active field to false. Otherwise, leave it alone. So the active field defaults to true, and when it changes to one of these. Now, those numbers used to be hard-coded into business rules all over the place. And woe be to the admin who wanted to use a different value. They'd have to make their business rule. They'd have to disable the out-of-box business rule. Well, we got wise to this and said, let's make this a little more configurable for you. And this is what the article says in the community. It's all about managing these states. So closed complete is 3, closed incomplete is 4, closed skipped is 7. If you don't change this, if you just want to relabel those as canceled, closed, done, whatever, you have no more work to do. This will work fine. You can use any other values, 12, 25, 152. You can use those. Those will not change or impact the state of the active field because they're not 3, 4, 7. But if you want to set up your own system, maybe 101, 102, and 103 are your values for something that is closed. Maybe you only have one. Maybe it's 1,000. You can change those by adding dictionary attributes. You can add a dictionary override, which is what this says down here in your custom table. So I have in one of my tables, let's go back to my CLS. I think I had a task table in there. Items, item tasks. Item tasks will work. And configure the table here. Now, I have a state field because it's inherited from task. How do I know that? Because that is just a little large on that one. Because if I look up here, oh, extends table item. Let me go to item and configure that. I need something that configures task. Sorry, I didn't practice this demo. That is not extending task. Very interesting. I don't think this does it. Well, the Chuck table has task as a prefix, so I'm going to guess this one may in fact extend task. It does. Okay, so let's work on this on my Chuck table. This is exactly why I built this application, so I can beat it with a hammer and not break anything else. In here, I have my state field. And my state field does not, I don't believe I configured any choice values for this. So in here, let's look and see if table contains Chuck. I don't have any state values. I probably could have easily checked it just by opening the state field. Yeah, these are still the default out-of-box inherited from task values. Let's go and configure some new ones. Configure choices. Now, I could either configure choices here. I could go to the form designer. I'm not in the right scope. Should probably change that. There we are. These are the ones, and they are black text. They are part of task. That's what this little color code up here tells you. It says, see all the blue entries? No, I don't see any blue entries. Those belong to your table. So let's go and create another one. Let's say start. We'll have a numeric value of 100. Apply to table Chuck. Add that. It's not blue because it's not saved yet. I'll show you that in a second. And end, we'll have a value of 200. Add that. Save it. Now, maybe I don't want the other ones, but there's start and end. I can even, let's go back to configure choices. Now, of course, they're blue because it knows how to apply the style. Let's take all of these out and go, you know what? Task, I don't want anything to do with you. This is my Chuck process. I am going to use start and end. Start is active, end is not, but I still want that business rule that automatically sets the active field to work when I get to end. So this is 100, 200, save that. My state field, of course, says open because that's the current state that it's in. And changing this to start and end right now will not impact active. You can see right here, active is still true. But I would like it to, without writing a new business rule, without writing script, what I do is go to configure dictionary on here, back to my dictionary entry, and you notice because I'm in the CLS scope, none of this, which belongs to global, because it's the task table, it prevents me from accidentally saying, hey, let's go change a bunch of dictionary attributes, or let's go change a bunch of stuff on task state, and impacting everybody in incident and project tasks, and everybody who's using the global task table would, not good, okay? Down here under dictionary overrides, I can, first, let's see if I have one for my table. I do not. So let's create a new entry. A new entry for my Chuck table. And you can see up here, there's some information that says, here are the current values in here. The default value is 1. If you were just to take task state, this is what you get. Good. I would like to override some of this. Do you want to override a reference qualifier? No, it's not a reference field. Do you want to override the dependent? The attributes. Yes, that's what I'm after. What attributes do you override? So this field has a few that it's watching for. And if you look in the product documentation for dictionary attributes, attributes, spell that correctly, I get a number of them. You can add an attribute, and there is a long list. Down here in the C section, there is closed states, and what's the other one that I'm looking for? I got to look at this article. Default closed state. All right, so back on the dictionary. There's closed states. It says inactive state integer values used by the task state util API. That's what that business rule that used to have 3, 4, and 7 hard-coded into it now says, hey, go out and check. Are they using the default state values of 3, 4, and 7, or have they specified some dictionary overrides on their state field to use different values? That's what I'm going to do. So I don't need to change that script that manages the active field. I just modify these dictionary attributes. If you've extended your own table, you are perfectly capable of doing this yourself. Create a dictionary override, put these attributes in. There's also one which said default closed state used by task state util identifies the default closed state for the task for a task table. Now, in my case, this would be a little redundant, but since I only have start and end is the only one, but I will put them both in. I want to say close states. If I had more than one, I probably should have put more than one in for a good example, is 200. Woohoo! If I had more than one, I would separate them by semicolons. Again, this article is a great reference for this because you can see closed states equals 7, 8, 9. I could be 200, 300, 1000, 1000. And default closed state is going to be 5. I would have expected default closed state to be one of these. Not my example. Still a good article. Doesn't have to be, apparently. So closed state 200, but I'm separating the attributes by a comma. So then I say default close state. Note that one of them is plural, one of them is not. Don't get those confused. Read your documentation. Default close state and close states. This one does not have any semicolon delimited things, so again, a bit redundant for this example. We're going to test it out. Oh, I probably should override the default value too. Let's go back down there and do this. Where is my table that I just added? CLS Chuck. Override the default value. Default value from task is 1, which means absolutely nothing to my table. I don't use 1. So let's override that and say mine is going to be 100. And there are various other attributes you can override. Maybe I want to make my state field read only. That dictionary overrides are a wonderful thing. There was a time when I was a customer, they didn't exist, and it was very frustrating. Lots and lots of scripting. I'll leave it there. Okay, going back to my task field here. I am now on Start. If I create a new record, it will default to Start, as I told it to. If it didn't, this would show up as 1. And let's create, I'll just create a new record. There's nothing mandatory required here. I don't even have a short description, do I? I got nothing. Oh, here we go. Test record of dictionary attributes. Save that. Active is still true, crossing the fingers, as it creates this record. And we wait and we take a drink. Yum, yum, yum. Okay, active is true. Now here's the part that I'm going to cross the fingers one more time. If I set it to end and save this, active is now false. Okay, I have just changed the rules of the game without writing any script. This is a configurable option to say, these are my closed states. So anything that is not in this list is going to not impact active. Now, if I change it back, ooh, there's the real question. It turns it on. Hooray, the reverse is true. I don't have to write a reverse business rule. So I'm all about not doing more scripting. Good afternoon, Goran. Didn't see you hiding out there. Yeah, if you haven't subscribed to Goran's YouTube channel, do so. He's got some wonderful videos. Cranking them out like crazy. He's a madman. Hopefully we will see you at Knowledge. Sneaking in. Is it against the rules to watch my videos? We got a few more minutes. Let's see what else was on the notes. That was a good one. So that is my answer. I will respond back to Mr. Kali or Mr. Rajasekar. Sorry about that. And let him know where we mentioned this. So we talked about task state attributes. Ta-da! The other one that came up is, I saw this in a thread, using a UI action to open a record with fields populated. And they said, now, if I were to go into the incident table, and let's say I take this incident and use the UI action, create problem. I think in their example they had change request, but it's the same thing. It creates the problem record and takes you there, and it's already saved. The record is created. I said, I don't want to create it. I want to put the form up there and let them modify it, because there may be mandatory fields that I need them to fill out. But this has already been created, and no. If you want to make the person save it for the first time, not generate this record, this number ID, you can do something a little different. This is, it's still using, first let's take the UI action apart that we just used. So let's go to Configure UI Actions. I want to show you what the current UI action is doing for Create Problem. Here's Create Problem. If you haven't looked at this, this is always fun. Take a look at existing UI actions, and I copy that over here for display purposes only. It does a glide record on problem, sets the short description, sets the CI. All of this is from problem, from current into problem. So it does a CI, impact, urgency, priority, company, sysdomain, in case you want domain separated. That's the extent of that. That is very, very similar to what we just did over here. Only I used an array to copy it rather than explicitly list out the fields. That's exactly why I did that, because I knew this was going to be coming up. Here is where they create a record, just like we created a record. They get back a sysid, and their problem record now contains this. They get back the sysid, and the reason they create the record is so there's now a link, because they're updating current. They should have updated it. There it is. They update current. So you want to create the problem over here and link it to the current incident to say this incident is linked to this problem. If you don't create the record first, you can't create that link. There's no sysid to link to. That's the whole problem. Their question is, how do I simply create the record, which you can do, but not create the record, but put up the form, but you can't create the link back. So this part down here is going to have no bearing because you don't have a sysid to link to. I'm going to show you a way to create that new record without saving it and ignore the fact that you won't have any link back to the other record. Your reference field won't be populated. So let's say I want to take this exact same piece of logic and rewrite it where I'm going to create the problem without that link and without saving it. So I don't need to create this. I don't need a glide record object. What I do need is to create an encoded query string. This is where it gets a little crazy, but can be done. Let's call this variable encoded query string. And the encoded query string is used in a number of places, probably most commonly seen and used in a list. I'll give you a quick background on encoded query strings. If you create a filter, let's go to incident and real quickly create one by saying show matching critical filter out in progress. You get this breadcrumb up here. I can copy the query out of there into the clipboard, and it's going to look something like, here's an example query string. Field equals blah, up caret, field equals value, up caret, field equals value, and then I've got this or state equals null. Now, this is part of a very strange query thing around, I think it's choice fields or numeric choice fields, where null is not the same as not to. I think it's in there for like extra insurance. It doesn't always work if you leave that off. So if you're writing your own query strings, be aware of that. I can use that same thing to populate values into a form. So using that example, let's just try something real simple. I'm going to comment out all of this from here to here. Leave this reference code intact. Let me just take this, make that a string, and I'll bet, I'm going to show you a neat little trick. I can say URL equals incident.do sysid equals -1. This part says go to the incident form, and since there is no record, sysid equals -1 says create me a new record. This is the way to say, hey, if I'm going to do this from the URL, this is how I'm going to create the new record. And sysparm underscore query equals EQSTR. That's going to populate those fields with those values. And if I use action.set redirect URL, I believe that's uppercase, to this URL string, note that action set redirect URL can take a string or it can take a glide record. It's pretty smart. It knows either one. In this case, I'm using it as a string. So let's just take these three here, create a new UI action on incident sounds good. Configure, can I try that again for $1? UI actions, make a new UI action. I'm in CLS. I don't want to be in CLS. I want to be in global. Create a new record. We'll just call this my new incident maker. And I'm going to make a form link just for the fun of it. On the incident table, let's leave that alone for best practice. Put in an action name. Never know when you're going to need it, but it's better to have it than not. Show on insert. Sure, whatever. That's not going to matter. No conditions to this, and there's my 3 lines of code. Set up my query string. Set up the URL. Yes, I could have done this all in one. I just wanted to do it to show you what's going on here. My mouse is starting to go crazy, and I don't know why. It has something to do with my desk. And I have my new UI action. Back to an incident. Open up an incident. I should have a form link down here. My new incident maker. And when I click that, I have a new record. Now, it did generate a number because auto number generating is on. If you click the new button from the list, there's a property if you don't want to do that. But note that did it set what I set? Did it set anything? What did I tell it to set anyway? Active is true, priority is 1, state is not equal true. That doesn't make sense. I'm sorry. Let's make state equal to. We can't set the priority because that's driven by impact and urgency. Let's say impact equals 2, whatever. What is the default? 3 and 3? Anybody pick that up? Urgency equals 2, just to be different. We don't even need active equals true because that's a default value. Let's say short description equals created from form link, up caret, up caret, up caret. Okay, give me that again. Let's go modify our UI actions. Live coding, it's a wonderful thing. I should have really checked those parameters before I used them. Let's see what's been modified lately to bring my new UI action to the top of the list. And we're getting up to the top of the hour. I want to see this finish. There's so much more I want to talk about today. I could make this a very long show. But that'll save some for tomorrow. Lots to talk about. One more quick test. Create that. Go into my incident. And this is going to the incident record. So I'm creating an incident from another incident, which is kind of silly. So the short description is here is can't log into SAP on my laptop today. New incident maker. 2 and 2, that's what I said for the impact and urgency. Created from form link. There's the short description. So it hasn't been saved. Note that I have the submit button. This record has not been created yet, which means I don't have a SysID and I can't link it back to the other incident or any other record for that matter until I save, which is going to get a little crazy, but somebody just wanted to know, can you create another record from another record without saving? Yes, if you use sysparm query. If you wanted to make this a little more variable and use values, of course, you could always jump in here and start modifying this script and say short description equals current.short description plus something like that and continue writing your code, blah, 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 blah. Okay, take the current value for impact or urgency, or just keep sticking in current.something, current.something, current.something. So this way creates a record first so you can use the SysID. This way simply sets up a URL, presents the form with those populated. Sysparm under query is the piece that makes that happen. This part right there, so you can pre-populate those fields. Handy. This is actually how templates work. So it does something similar. At a scripting level, it's a little bit different. Trying to remember what I think the method, the glide record method is apply encoded query. Is something else you may want to look into. But that's a story for another time. All right. Let me take this out. Wow, we got quite a few scripts here. I'm going to have to save these. Don't need that. Don't need that. We'll add a comment in here so we figure it out later. Create a record. No, don't create the record. Present a form with some pre-populated values and let the user save. Because they may back out. They may not want that. Is this one described what I did? No. This one was create your own SysID for demonstration purposes only. Don't do this, kids. Unless you really want to go write your own SysID generator, but I can't think of why. That one's documented. This one is use the get method to get a single record from systemplate. All right, enough housekeeping. I am done. Let's give the old high five. Good job. And I look forward to, let's see, didn't change the priority though. Will it do that when you save? Priority, I didn't notice that, Gorn. I did not notice that. Oh yeah, 5 is set to planning. If you change it, yes. So for whatever reason, it's not a UI policy. The data lookup that's doing that is not triggered on load. That's fascinating. I didn't know that that was the case on load. Thought data policies did work that way. Maybe it's something to do with the data policy or the data lookup. Priority lookup rules. Now you got me wanting to look this up. There's the rules. It's going to be under data lookup definitions, priority lookup. It says run on change, run on insert, run on update. That's interesting. Yes, it will definitely will do it on save because it says run on insert and run on update. But run on form change apparently doesn't recognize on load is a form change because maybe I didn't change anything. Interesting. That's an interesting observation. Good catch. I will talk to you all tomorrow. Apologize, I was doing that kind of behind my head. I forget. And oh, good. I'm glad you're online and you saw that right. I almost pronounced your name correct. Well, if you meet me at Knowledge or a developer meetup or someplace else, feel free to correct me. I will do my best. Ask how long it took me to get Steve from Sweden correct. I will talk to you tomorrow. It has been a wonderful day and look forward to sharing more information with you. Till then, take care. Bye.